I didn't even know that's.
If I had known.
And you've taught your daughters the same thing.
Well,
I didn't ask you, I said I fixed it myself.
There you go.
I can't do them all, guys. The meeting will be delayed. They are all just a little.
Sure. Allow them to come in. Or the. There's a lot of people on that.
He didn't do that, why he's standing here. That's.
Hi, Amber.
That's a good.
I saw that was the one that I like really like.
Okay.
Okay. Call the meeting to order. Well, no.
Got a lot of it.
No, I don't want to learn.
It's a joke.
Who's gonna?
Oh my gosh.
I hated the door.
Oh, she's calling me.
No.
There's a chair, you can come in. Hold on.
Everybody take it. We are here for 5 minutes.
She asked me to
How many things are cleaned out?
21. Have some of that outside, Charlie. They don't want that.
That's probably a good idea. Don't give everybody else.
They don't care. No, they're Girl Scouts. No, we're leaving in 5 minutes. Then they go.
They could sit her.
It's like house.
When you're ready for the final presentation for commission, I'll just be out here, but I'm like.
Okay, thanks. Okay, you ready?
Okay. Call the meeting to order on Monday, March the 10th, 6:32 PM. Roll call.
Belkey.
Here.
Bennett.
Here.
Cornish.
Here.
Farrell.
Here.
Stevenson.
Here.
Trinka.
Here.
Washington. Wade.
Here.
Right.
Girl Scouts are going to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Please join us.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. And I have it's Girl Scout Week. So I have a proclamation to read. Girl Scout Week Proclamation 2025. Whereas March 12th, 2025 marks the 113th anniversary of Girl Scouts of the USA, the largest and most impactful leadership program for the girls in the world. And whereas the Girl Scouts have emphasized public service and civic engagement and has fostered a sense of community in girls. And whereas today, more than 50 million women trailblazers, visionaries, and leaders are Girl Scout alums who have made the world a better place. And whereas Girl Scouts of Southern Illinois serve nearly 5,000 girls and engages over 2,000 adult members in 40 counties, in Southern Illinois. Now, therefore, I, Sherry Wright, Mayor of Lebanon, Illinois, by the virtue of authority vested in me, do hereby applaud the Girl Scout movement and the Girl Scouts of Southern Illinois for providing with the safe, inclusive, all-girls space where they can hone their skills and develop leadership abilities. And I declare the week of March 9th through 15th as Girl Scout Week.
You can stay seated, we can just, they can stand behind you if it's easier.
Well.
You're the shortest one.
Yeah, there you go.
Ready? You're good, just stand right next to Natalie. You got it, there.
He's in there, Leslie.
Ready? 1, 2, 3, ladies. Good job, thank you.
Thank you.
Mayor, thank you.
There you go.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming.
I don't.
Yeah.
We got stretch. It's fine.
Hey, Mr. Big. Really very good. I mean, all
One thousand. I instructed them to.
Somebody need a motion to amend the agenda. Motion to amend the agenda.
I'll make a motion to amend the agenda
A second.
What's that motion? For what?
for the approval of the agenda.
I'll amend the agenda, we'll be adding, prior to approval of the omnibus agenda, we're adding a special statement. Prior to that, on that, I'm moving the omnibus agenda with that amendment.
Second.
Second.
Okay, one, and wait. Okay,
Roll call.
Bennett,
Yes.
Cornish,
Yes.
Farrell,
Yes.
Stevenson. Is it yes or no?
Yeah.
Thank you. Trinka,
Yes.
Washington. Yes. Whitty,
Yes.
Belkey.
Yes.
All right. Go to give a seat. Come on up, Frank.
I'm standing right over here.
And real quick, I'd just like to remind everybody that during the public comment section, everyone will get 5 minutes to speak. That doesn't matter if you're inside or outside, everyone will get 5 minutes to speak.
Good evening. My name is Cody Terry. I'm the street supervisor. I want to extend my deepest sympathies to people who have been hurt. Our goal is to treat the cemetery with the respect your loved ones deserve, while also keeping it safe for visitors and our crews. I would also like to state that I should have double checked that all cemetery cleanup information that we discussed in our opens meeting and that we published in the newspaper was readily available to the public. We realize the current ordinance on file is outdated and rather ambiguous. It's very vague. We are working on ways to improve the city ordinance going forward so that it's clear, not only for the public, but for the crews that are meant to go out and enforce these rules. There was a breakdown of communication on all levels from the city. We're working on this so nothing happens again like this event that we had. My intent was never to hurt or offend anyone. I was following the ordinance in place that I strongly disagreed with, and I was asked to enforce by the ordinance. Again, I extend my deepest sympathies. It was not meant to hurt anybody. And I was doing the job that I was told I was supposed to do. And I thank you for coming out tonight.
Thanks, Pat.
Okay. And we are very sorry that this happened. We thought we had notified folks, put something in the paper. Cody did talk about it at length, during a meeting for those people who were watching. And again, we're very sorry and hopefully we get through this and onward. Okay, the omnibus agenda? We did?
We did.
Okay. Audience. It's time for audience comments. We ask that you come up by the gate if possible, because that's the closest place the owl can hear. The older persons or myself, nobody will comment on you, respond to you, anything, but you get 5 minutes. So yes. What?
And we need your name.
Oh, I did that. Jessica.
My name is Jessica Lamar, and I'm here for a number of reasons, but tonight I will spend my time speaking to a matter that is bigger than I think most realize. I understand the people are here tonight behind me because they are frustrated, mad, and completely heartbroken over the actions that were taken out at the cemetery. And they have a right to be. But I will not stand here and let Cody and his crew take the beating personally for this. I've spent countless hours attending council meetings or watching them online over the last few years. The number of times that I have seen this administration throw an employee of the city under the bus is embarrassing. Questions being asked in open council that shouldn't be, and aldermen chuckling and making under the breath remarks and implying that someone up here isn't doing their job. If that's the case, why are they still here? Well, I'm here to tell you that you are not doing yours, and I will not stand here silent anymore. I have stood witness to a threat from an alderman to the supervisors of the city that if they won't enforce the ordinances, then they will find someone who will. It is my understanding that it was brought to light by more than one of you behind this gate that the cemetery ordinance was not being enforced and you wanted change. On February 24th, the following were present when Cody stepped up to give his supervisor report. Mayor Sherry Wright, Luann, the city attorney, Belkey, Bennett, Cornish, Farrow, Stevenson, Trinka, and Whitty. If you would like to fact check that, it is on YouTube and you can check the recording. Cody asked Luann if the deadline was set for the cemetery cleanup. She responded yes, and he said, "Would you be so kind to remind people when that is?" They then began to speak into details. Cody spoke to the ordinance and specifically named lights, shepherd hooks, items sitting in the grass. He said to you all, this ordinance has not been enforced for years, and the change was going to be hard. Not a single one of you said a word. You had no questions, no comments, and you sat in your chair and led him to believe that he was to carry on and as requested with the current ordinance. The notice ran in the O'Fallon Weekly on February 12th. Prior to the meeting I referenced, it said all decorations were to be removed from the graves by March 1, or the city would remove and discard of these items. If you are expecting the residents to rely solely on this one communication, I sure hope you are holding yourself accountable in that standard as well. So I ask, why didn't you ask your questions or voice your concerns at the meeting when Cody reminded you of the upcoming request? You got more communication than any of the people here. Mr. Farrow engaged on Facebook and said he would bring it to council tonight to discuss. It's too late to discuss. Items are broken, keepsakes are gone. Your time to discuss was prior to asking your supervisor and his crew to enforce an ordinance, or you'll find someone who will. This city is also a city employee fueling the fire on Facebook to attack Cody, then that this was his doing. I question, is anyone talking to this employee and correcting him, or are we allowing him to continue to tarnish his fellow coworkers' reputation and gain a vote? Aldermen are out in public stating Cody did this on his own and they had no knowledge when obviously they did. This is the definition of a hostile work environment. This city has buried misreputation of funds, money being wasted to avoid conflict, and now they are trying to bury the true actions that were taken on this. The citizens of Lebanon need to ask a lot of questions with this upcoming election. We need a mayor that is going to have the respect of council and every person that works for the city. A mayor that is going to hold the aldermen and the people working for the city accountable. A mayor who will accept responsibility for the city's mistakes. A mayor that will lead this work environment from being hostile and every man for themselves to an innovative, positive, professional team. These people are here because of you. Every single one of you behind this gate. Do not point your finger. Take ownership of the role that you played. Understand this is on you, and from now on, do better for the people. This city, I repeat, this city messed up. And from now on, have some pride. Do your due diligence so that when you support or oppose something that has come before the city, that you believe with all your heart that you are doing what's right by us, and then have the backbone to stand by it. And if you don't, please see the door. Thank you.
My name is Connie Alvey. My dad, my aunt, my uncle, and my granddaughter are buried in College Hill. Today would have been my granddaughter's 6th birthday. We have decorated their graves for the past, well, my dad's grave for almost 20 years. He'll be gone 20 years in November. We've never had a problem. My mother is 82 years old, and I'm sure many people who live close to the cemetery or drive by it have seen her out there with a cane or a walker, and she will get down on her hands and knees and pull the grass away from the headstone and anything that we have out there. This should have never happened this way. And you know, I feel bad because I'm gonna publicly apologize to Cody because that was the name I was given, that it was his fault. It was not, and that's not fair to him because now and I will tell you, Mr. George Farrow is the only one who's responded, and his response has only been to basically make fun of us. We have been told that you guys knew it was a sensitive matter, so that's why it wasn't brought out. Yes, it's a sensitive matter. My granddaughter's 6th birthday was today. I even made a special stop at City Hall and I said, listen, we put stuff out there. It's not anything that's going to hurt or interfere with lawn care. It better not be touched today. Her mother's sitting here. Her daughter's 6th birthday, she can't be at home with her family because she has to be here because you guys desecrated her grave. You went out, you cut off the balloons just to make a point. And it's disgusting. And every one of you, I don't know who voted. I don't live in city limits, so I don't come. But every one of you who voted for this should be ashamed of yourselves. And I hope that none of you have relatives out there that people have felt the need to go out. There were things that have been my dad's grave that were like permanently affixed, were pried off. There was an old man my brother saw today, and I don't remember his name. He was out there. He had come to City Hall, had special permission to put a bench out there. He was out there in tears today because they had taken his wife's bench. It was apparently thrown in the trash. And speaking of all the things that were thrown in the trash, are any of you veterans? Can I ask that?
Sure am.
So do you realize that the American flags were thrown in the trash too? I
No
mean,
comment, ma'am.
well, I'm just telling you.
I'm just saying, no comment.
I didn't mean to single you out. I'm just
No.
saying, if you're a veteran, you should be just as disgusted. My husband is a veteran. I don't appreciate the flags going just in the trash can. And thank you for your time. And I'm sorry, I am very angry. And I hope that you guys will do better. Yes, ma'am.
What's your last name?
Alvey, Alvey.
Yes, sir. I'm gonna try to stand, but since you made me stand outside for 45 minutes, it's not gonna be easy.
Okay.
My name is William Rydell. I've got over 14 graves out there at the cemetery, and I'm gonna just be honest, you've got me confused. I go out there and you got a 4x8 plaque. Kind of southeast of that white brick building in the middle of the cemetery. That's where your rules are, it says. There's 3 times listed on there for cleanup. The Monday through Wednesday before Easter. The Monday through Thursday before Memorial Day. The Monday through Thursday before the 4th of July, depending on how the 4th falls. There's nothing on there about cleaning up in the middle of March. My son from Ohio comes down to see me about every 2-3 months, depending on when he's in town. He has never come down without bringing new flowers for his mother's grave. The week before you cleaned it up, he was down Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. We were out there all 3 days. We saw no signs. And I don't know when to put flowers out there, when not. I went to see Mr. Piaro. He said it was Mr. Trinka's fault. Dale, I don't believe that, but that's what I was told. It was all Dale Trinka's idea. But I also have, I would like to turn in whoever wants it, 5 FOIs on information that I would like to receive. So if anybody would like to get this.
Okay. Thank you.
And like I said, I have to agree with the other lady. I have known Cody Terry since he was a little kid. This wasn't Cody's idea, and you hung him out there to dry like a sacrificial lamb. You should all be ashamed of yourself. You really should. And I tell you what, if I can get enough people together, this ain't over.
All right. I'm not gonna make this through this without crying, I'll tell you now.
Your name.
Kimberly Kaspersick. First off, let me thank the ones that dug in the dumpsters to get our belongings back. We really appreciate it. It did not go unnoticed. Today is March 10th. I know that means nothing to any of you guys, but that's my daddy's 88th birthday. I couldn't go put a damn thing out there for him because you all said no. There were no words over a 50-year-old ordinance. I do want to apologize to Cody because I spoke with him on the phone. I don't know where he went. I apologize because I snapped on you Saturday. There's no words to describe how upset and heartbroken we all are. How can you do this to our loved ones? The loved ones we chose College Hill for, because it's always so beautiful and peaceful out there. My brother's been in the infant section since 1961. I have parents, grandparents, and brothers buried there. One of them, I might add, are you Luann?
Yes.
One of them was illegally buried out there and you swept it under the rug because you got your $400 opening of the plot, but none of your city employees buried his ashes. God knows what his ashes are even in out there. All you did was make sure this headstone was fixed. When I asked you, I wanted the ashes gone. I was told, oh, the state paid for it. There ain't a damn thing we can do. That came out of your mouth on the phone. All 3 of the employees at that time denied burying him, couldn't believe the mess they made, that his widow made at the grave. The only response was, oh, we don't do work orders, so I don't know who buried him. That was in 2021. Well, if your 3 employees didn't bury him, well, I think we know our answer. It was Lois. Now my mother shares a plot with a person who didn't even know she died. And no, that has nothing to do with tonight, but that just shows how your rules are followed. Now, 50 years later, you want to enforce an ordinance. What other crap are you going to come up with? Seriously, maybe you guys should worry about other stuff in town and instead of us trying to pay respect to our loved ones. I have to explain to a 6-year-old that she can't place anything for her favorite uncle out there. You have a mother standing outside that lost her 11-year-old to brain cancer and you took her only marker. Doesn't that make you feel like a big bad person, whoever ordered this? Because it should make you feel ashamed and disgusted with yourself. I don't even know how y'all sleep at night. I pray every one of them buried out there haunt every single one of you. I can't speak for others, but you will not stop me from decorating that grave. I will go out there. If you tear it down, I'll come right back out there the next damn day and do it. There is nothing in that 50-year ordinance about shepherd rods or decorative stones. It says, and I quote, no person shall use a glass jar, tin can, box, basket, or bucket as a bouquet holder on any grave. There are dates when the flowers can be replaced, like that gentleman said. again, nothing about the shepherd rods or decorative items. You can't make rules up as you go and think it's legal and then expect your employees to carry it out. Don't smirk, because I'm not done. How do you expect us to pay respects to our loved ones if we can't even have a shepherd rod, a simple shepherd rod? That I zip tie my flowers to so they don't fly off. You can, even if I did, it isn't in the way of mowing, then who cares? You can get a mower. You can't get a mower in between the headstones anyway. So guess what? You still gotta get up off the mower and you gotta weed eat around everything. I pray for everyone involved. You fix this ordinance immediately and let us respect our families in the way that they deserve.
I'm a little unprepared and I'm also nervous. My name is Janet Carthy. My husband has been buried out at the cemetery for almost 7 years come July. Also, my grandparents and many other family, relatives, aunts, uncles, and friends are buried out there. And there's nothing left, nothing to go to their grave to see, nothing that is personal to us. I was the first person, I believe, to come up to City Hall and say, where is my husband's things? And I was told by some of the city workers that they were told to take it off. And I was told it was because of Mr. George Farrow. And if they did not take it off, it would be their jobs. So they really didn't have a choice. At that point, Luann told me that she put a notice in the paper twice in the O'Fallon paper. Well, I'm sorry, this is Lebanon. This is not O'Fallon, and not everybody gets that paper. And if it was in the Muscuda Herald, well, this isn't Muscuda, and not everybody gets that paper either. And not everybody sees everything on Facebook or social media. I went dumpster diving in 2 different dumpsters, and unfortunately, one dumpster had already been dumped. But I went in the other 2, and my sister and I, who is standing out there and works for MedStar, pulled out what we could and took back to the cemetery. I have pictures. I counted 52 shepherd hooks standing against the wall of the shed out at the cemetery. That didn't include the 25 plus more we found in the dumpsters, along with crosses, angels, beautiful flowers that were not necessarily old. And I understand taking down old flowers that have been there for years, but I just put new flowers on my husband's grave on the 4th of February because that is his birthday. I found 3 funeral home plaques with names on them. One of them happens to be Catherine Cook, 11-year-old girl here from Lebanon that passed away from brain tumor. Her mom is standing outside because there's not enough room in here. My sister and I took that to her, and while it may not be enough, it was something to give her. There she is, Victoria Cook. It was enough to maybe give her a little bit of comfort. I also found one that has Cornish on it. And we have it, and I don't know if it belongs to your family, but if it does and you want it, we have it. My father has been on the Lebanon Fire Department since 1972, Mom. He's retired now, but I have been part of the Lebanon Fire Department family all my life. And they took off LVFD, Lebanon Volunteer Fire Department plaques from these tombstones. And John Sedan, who is also standing out there, he is the person that puts the flags on the firemen's graves come Memorial Day. What's going to be next? You should all be ashamed of yourself. These were our personal things, and I am not a lawyer by any means, but I'm almost sure that it's against the law to desecrate a grave. And taking personal items off of a grave is desecrating it. I go to my husband's grave at least 3 times a week. I wanted to put more flowers out there today, but guess what? I was afraid to, for fear they'd be gone again. When am I allowed to put flowers back on his grave? Is that another ordinance that you're just gonna have to come up with, or do we just gotta go day to day and figure out, you know, is today the day? Is tomorrow the day? I'm just very mad. I'm very angry. I'm sad. I'm sad for everybody that has family out there. That's all. Thank you.
My name is Bridget. Good evening. I am here tonight, along with so many others, to voice my concerns over the recent cleanup at College Hill Cemetery. I'm not a resident of Lebanon, but do have loved ones laid to rest here. I want to begin by sharing a little bit of my story. One of the first things people will tell you when you find out you are going to be a mother is how bad labor will hurt. What they do not tell you is how bad the pain is if you have to lose the baby. If they did, I think there would be far less children in the world. The pain and heartbreak is unimaginable. There are absolutely no words to describe that feeling. It is something I will carry with me for the rest of my life. March 10th, 2019 was one of the best days of my life as I got to hold my beautiful baby girl. But it was also the worst day of my life, as I knew I would be leaving the hospital without her. I would never get to walk her into her first day of preschool, see her graduate, help her pick out her wedding dress, or one day hold her children. The only big decisions I would ever get to make as her mother would be to choose her headstone design and where I would lay her to rest. The latter was not a hard decision for me at all. Thanks to my grandma, I was able to bury her with my grandfather, someone I also love more than life itself. In my grief-stricken mind, if I couldn't be there for her, at least she would have him. I reviewed the rules and guidelines so many times of the cemetery in the days and weeks following her birth. I was told by the previous groundskeepers that we could have a shepherd's hook as long as it was placed towards my grandfather's headstone, as my daughter's stone is level with the ground. I was also informed we could have decor as long as it was in good condition and kept up, something we have abided by for the past 6 years. Over the weekend, I found out about the recent cleanup and was heartbroken, not only for my family, but for so many others. This weekend has brought back another wave of grief for me. As the mother of an angel, one of my biggest fears was that she would be forgotten, and discovering that her belongings were thrown into the dumpster like trash makes that fear so much closer to reality for me, that her life does not matter. Although my story may not be the same as those sitting among me, one thing is true for all of us. We all have loved ones laid to rest at College Hill. We only represent a small portion of those families. It doesn't matter if they lived for 1 day or 100 years. They were someone's child, parent, sibling, grandparent, aunt, uncle, friend. They deserve to be treated with dignity and respect as if they were still here with us. I understand rules have to be in place, but this was taken to the absolute extreme and has never occurred in the 6 years my daughter has been there, or the almost 20 that my grandpa has. If the rules were going to be changed or enforced, they should have been adequate communication with families to ensure sentimental items could be collected. Some of the items I saw included personalized plaques and temporary grave markers. Yesterday, I put a stuffed rabbit and some birthday balloons for my daughter, and today I went back and the balloons had been cut off. Which is, I'm sorry, it takes, I don't know how somebody can do that. A cemetery is supposed to be a sacred place, and to do that to a baby, great, it's just, I can't. I understand that there was a Facebook notification. However, not everyone has social media, newspapers, or is active enough to catch social media posts. My request is that moving forward, that we can avoid this in the future. What is done cannot be undone, the heartbreak that's been caused. But my hope is to save others from the same heartache we have all endured in the past week. Thank you for your time.
Anyone else?
Yeah. I would go through it. I also, there's disrespectful.
A lot has been said, what I've been going to say. So I'll eliminate some of that, but I have this question. Who owns the grave plot, the stone, and who paid for the perpetual care? We did, or I did for our family. And we have 32 Townsend Hanson lots out there and 20 other Hanson lots out there. To me, it means that mowers, when they're mowing, stay away from hitting our stones. Weed whacking, trim as closely as possible. And perpetual care means getting rid of the old faded flowers, tattered flowers, headless flowers, and seasonal flowers. But not the occasional flowers. Sometimes, if I want to put something on the grave, and I'm Irish, and I want to put it on at Christmas, and I want to put shamrocks or leprechauns in it, then I think that should be allowed. Just because it's not St. Patrick's Day, but yes, I think it should be allowed. And people, like my daughter said, the firemen's medals that they put on the side have been put there for years and years and years. And nothing had been done before. And so why do it now like this? Thousands of dollars have been spent on flowers. My daughter put flowers on in February and they're gone. And I helped put them together. And I'm a floral designer, so I know they were over $100. I put them on my father-in-law and mother-in-law's grave. And that was a center vase. And naturally that takes a little more to fill it. And they were put on in February after I took off all of the cemetery stuff from Christmas. And they are gone. And I think all these people should be compensated by the city council. Flags were thrown in the dumpster. That is illegal. Very illegal, no matter what size they were. Crosses. It's like the Star of David for those who use the Star of David. It is discriminating. And if the FBI would find out, you'd be in trouble. Thank you.
So, comment?
Bob asked if there was anybody outside. Comment, please. Do you have a comment, Ms. Bob?
Yes, I sure do.
Please go ahead.
My name is Nellie Beckwith, and I'm not here about the grave sites, but I have sympathy with every last one of you. And whatever you want me to do to support you, I will. I'm here because of my complaint that I did July 11, 2024. My complaint was about the contractors damaging my driveway and also putting in an incorrect, it's called a gutter drain. I had to go pay because I didn't want to steal, because I was told that Yolanda said, not Yolanda, Luann said that I must get the steel plate. I didn't want a steel plate. I've lived there 35 plus years, never had a problem going up my driveway or coming down. When I moved there, I was young. I had a Camaro. I'm old now. I drive an SUV that every time I go up, all the lights are flash and blink. Mercedes dealer told me don't go in the driveway. So for 5 or 6 months, I parked on the side of the street, waiting for the mayor to. Well, I have been told by the mayor that the contractors would come back and do my driveway and the curb, the drain. None of that happened. I did got a lawyer, and I do not want to pay $10,000 or $20,000 for my lawyer to fight Lebanon City Hall for what was done under the contract that Lebanon City Hall agreed with 3 other contractors, or one of them, whoever was in charge, which I understand it may have been the Chris, and they got subcontractors. When all they had to do is request for it to be done. Why should I pay anywhere from $10,000 to $20,000? I also was told that it was stated that the attorney wanted my driveway corrected, but the power to be said no. So I'm here saying, power to be, you all need to do something about affecting your citizens like you are, because it's wrong. It's just absolutely wrong and un-American. And I too am American.
Does anybody else have in the audience? Yes, sir.
As a representative of American Legion Post 283, John Sudan. And as a retired firefighter in this town, I resent the removal of the markers that the organizations have placed on those graves. I've called American Legion 5th Division headquarters, spoken to the judge advocate. If he finds we have status as regards national laws regarding desecration of veterans' graves, the wind's gonna get real strong up here. Because the American Legion National will sue. And whoever allowed that bald cypress tree to be cut down should have his butt kicked from one end of that cemetery to the other. Takes 50 years to grow a tree that big. There isn't anybody up here who's gonna live long enough to see that happen. And it was totally unnecessary, did not block the view of our new sign. We need a sign for people to understand that's a cemetery, for God's sake. If they don't recognize it as a cemetery, there's not much help for them. Thanks.
Anyone else? Bob, you said nobody outside?
Nobody else outside.
Okay. Okay, we will continue now on with the agenda.
Here, hold on.
Well,
I do have one thing to say here. Are you going to discuss this? As a council, even if it's between themselves?
No.
I
don't know how.
let me look and see.
I just have one question. I
I
have my name is Beverly Griesbaum, and I have a little brother that was born on October 10th, 1965. He's buried out with all the babies and has this little headstone with his name. I got the picture. Y'all want to see it. Y'all are saying no flowers in the ground. Now, since I was 5 years old on my bicycle, I rode up to that cemetery and I took violets and dandelions and whatever other little weed in the ditch that I thought was pretty and laid that on that little boy's grave. Every year I have put, since I was 5, I'll be 63 June. I have put flowers with my brother, my sister, my husband, my mom and dad, my grandparents, my aunts. I have aunts, uncles, I have everybody out there. You're telling me that no flowers can go in that grass. Now, this little headstone is this big. There's room for vases. It was 1965. The only way I can memorialize this little boy is to put flowers in the grass. So you're telling me from 63 years old till the time I die, I can't lay flowers at that little boy's grave? Is that what you're all telling me? Cause it's out of ordinance? Ridiculous. Ridiculous. What would you do if that was your little brother that you never got to meet?
Someone asked if we were going to discuss this. We will be discussing it under ordinance.
Okay. When is that? Is
I'm
that
sorry.
tonight? Yeah.
Sure, is there any way we could jump down to that now?
I don't know why not.
Let's
Making a motion.
I move we amend the agenda, we move the ordinance item up to
Now,
now,
after alderperson.
after all the personal.
Second.
Roll call. Whittier, Washington. Going to
You get one.
Okay.
Thank you.
Harnish,
Yes.
Farrell,
Yes,
Stevenson.
Yeah.
Draco,
Yes.
Washington,
Yes.
Whitty,
Yes.
Belkey,
Yes.
Bennett.
Yes.
Okay, we are now going to, we're going to do alderperson. Do any of the alder people have anything to say? Okay. No for that. George, ordinance.
okay, under ordinance, we have one item. And it's something I requested be put on the agenda because of the issues over the weekend. And the ordinance is 50 years old. It is vague. We need to update it. And rather than bring in a new ordinance, I felt it would be best if we discuss possible changes to the ordinance. So that when the ordinance comes in, you'll have a chance to see it. We'll have a chance to publish it out for the people to see on the website so that it goes on the city website under minutes. Will be there. And so that's why I put this on the agenda. When I looked at the ordinance and I had it pulled up here a few minutes ago, let's see if I can pull it up again.
Any objection to shutting the doors here?
I'm sorry.
You can't hear anything because everybody outside.
I apologize.
It's also getting cool.
Is it possible just to ask a question? Attorney,
Go ahead.
why after 50 years are we now enacting this? When before it was always, it's Christmas, take off your Christmas stuff because Easter's coming. After Easter, take your Christmas or your Easter stuff off because the next holiday. Why after 50 years of it always being this, then all of a sudden it's bam, now we're cleaning everything up? What has happened and why did this even have to occur? Is my question.
Amber, you wanted to say something?
I just wanted to apologize to the public on my behalf. I did vote yes to clean up the cemetery, but I did not ask enough questions. I didn't, I should have, and I'm learning. I'm very, very new to this. Very new to the seat, but I will from now on ask questions. I apologize on my behalf.
Okay, as the ordinance chair, I have the responsibility to bring issues regarding the ordinances to the council, new ordinances. We put them together and our city attorney, when it's a new ordinance, will write that ordinance. Excuse me, I'm getting constant phone calls. My therapist is trying to call me.
So is mine.
So is ours.
There you go.
I'm asking an answer for my question. Why after 50 years of this ordinance is it now enacted?
Because they're mowing it themselves and they don't wanna clean up after it.
Exactly. That's the point. I'm just
When they
asking
have
for
to
an
get off
answer.
their mowers anyway to weed eat around everything at the headstone, so what does it matter at this point? When we get started.
George, if it isn't too long, did you read the existing ordinance?
Yeah, I'll read the important parts of it.
Section 12 to 20.
And I also, by the way, my name has been used quite a bit, and I'll be very frank, I do resent that because I'm just doing my job. And you're saying you're acting as though it's personal. This is not.
I'm just asking a question.
No,
Why after 50
excuse me,
years is
ma'am.
it happening
You're out of
now?
order.
Okay,
I was gonna say, it's the audience, not the time. George, please answer her question.
Okay. I only am responsible to do the ordinances and read them. I've read this ordinance before, but when all of this started happening, I went back and I read it and I realized that the ordinance is grossly outdated. There's an annual cleanup. Every year about this time, the cemetery is cleaned up.
flower to flower.
Right, but this year, we did a real cleanup.
And disgraced.
Ma'am,
Ma'am, you're out of order if you speak. If anybody in joining speaks, I'm gonna take the mayor's. What the mayor is saying is out of order. At this point in the meeting, the discussion is amongst the council. And if you have a question or comment and you raise your hand and the mayor recognizes you, then you may be able to speak. That's an ordinance, by the way.
okay, continue, George.
Anyway, getting back to this, so I apologize. I really resent the fact that my name is being used in vain, when all I'm doing is my job, and I'm following what my role is. I wish this had not happened. But that's what happened.
Yes,
I just have a question, since you think everything is so funny, do you realize your dentures are about to fall out of your mouth? Thank you.
I am not saying
Okay.
anything is funny.
not yet. Get to her question and answer it.
We did that because it was a cleanup. And I'll be very frank, I was asked, what should we do? And I said, follow the ordinance. Because that's been in writing, follow the ordinance. Now, the ordinance, if I can get to it, without my,
Do you want this?
yeah, because mine keeps dying. The first part of the ordinance reads, growing plants prohibited. No, there's a number of sections about ground level and about coping and marking and shrubbery, etc. But the graves, the section 12-26, growing plants prohibited. No flowers, plants, or bushes shall be planted or grown on graves or cemetery lots, and all such vegetation shall be removed by the superintendent. Section 12-27, restrictions on types of wreaths, sprays, flowers removal. A, no styrofoam wreaths or sprays or plastic single stem flowers shall be permitted from May 1st to November 1st. B, only one bouquet per grave shall be permitted, except on Christmas Day, Easter weekend, Memorial Day weekend, Independence Day, and Veterans Day. Bouquets in excess of one per grave shall be removed during the week following these holidays. C, during the following periods, all bouquets will be removed to facilitate cleanup and grass mowing. Easter, Monday through Wednesday, the week of Good Friday. Memorial Day, Monday through Thursday of the preceding week. Independence Day, Monday to Thursday of this preceding week, unless the holiday falls on Friday, in which case the removal period will be Monday through Wednesday of the same week as the holiday. Persons wishing to save bouquets must remove them during these times. Restrictions of bouquet holders: no person shall use a glass jar, tin can, box, basket, or bucket as a bouquet holder on any grave. That's the issue that I believe is the problem. That needs to be changed and updated.
Definitely needs to be amended. Typically, we don't take audience. I'm on tape audience, so I'll start here and just move around. Go ahead.
Okay, so here's my thing. My dad's grave, my brother that's a baby, there's nowhere to adhese vase like Cody suggested when I talked to him on the phone Saturday. There's nowhere that you're still not gonna have to weed eat around a vase attached to a grave that doesn't have a slab under it.
I have marked, or I've been taking notes for amending, and I did mark something like
So
that down.
we
into
have to be able to have shepherd rods.
What we need to do.
We have to be able to have shepherd rods. I go out to my parents' graves with a shepherd rod. I zip tie stuff from the top to the bottom. If you only want me to go halfway down the shepherd rod, fine, no big deal. But you have to be able to put something at your family's grave.
Okay,
And I don't know who's out there throwing rocks in all the damn vases, but almost every vase that me and Beverly's seen tonight has rocks in it.
oh. Can't answer that one. Yes, ma'am, back in the back.
My name is Victoria Cook. My daughter was 11 when I placed her out there. She has a concrete slab that I had a rock thing on. It was on the slab. That was removed along with everything else. My daughter's funeral plaque that came from the funeral home that they put out there, which I assume is okay because it is not a flower, so it's not placed anywhere in the ordinance, that was removed and thrown away. By the grace of people, the good people in this community, it was brought back to me. I only kept it out there so that I could save it, so that I didn't lose it at the house or anything else, to make a rock garden for my daughter in front of my home, because I do live here in town. Now, why was that taken off? It's not a flower. It was right next to the headstone. And my daughter will be 8 years gone in this July. And you just now want to start taking stuff off of her grave? I mean, there are multiple other things that I lost in that. And I am not trying to be rude or disrespectful, but I really hope that none of you have ever had to bury a child, because it is not okay. It is not okay. But I don't go to your parents' graves or your brother and sister's graves and take stuff off of it. It's just not fair. A notice in an O'Fallon paper for 1 week, from what I understand, was made is not okay. I don't live in O'Fallon. I don't look at O'Fallon's newspaper. A little bit more notice should have been given for us that don't necessarily hang out on social media or read O'Fallon newspapers. But again, I have a base. The rock sits on the base. My oldest daughter, she lives in Seattle, Washington, is not okay with this because she's not here to help me. She put things out there, memorial things from her graduation and her prom that her sister did not get to see. And now all of that has been thrown away and trashed, when I thought it would be with her sister forever, because it was literally wrapped along the grave marker that the funeral home put out there, right next to the headstone, next to this slab. It was not in anybody's way of mowing, not whatsoever. And I just want to point out that, again, it is not cool to bury a kid, and I really hope you none ever have to do that. But to be so disrespectful and to go out there and remove stuff that's not a flower, I get that. Take out the old, bring in the new. I get that. You want to mow the grass. You guys know every year that you have to mow the grass. So why just now, all of a sudden now, when I know it's been almost 8 years that my daughter's things have been out there? Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Somebody was back here. Yes, ma'am. Yes,
Yes, I'm just gonna kind of repeat what everybody else is upset about. Again, I understand the trinkets and everything that I guess may have been in the lawnmower's way. On my stone personally,
I had an engraved rock with a birth date and a death date on the stone next to the base, next to his name. Nowhere, we even have how many foot long is it? 12-foot long concrete slab that all of our, how many feet is it? Whatever, that all of our stones are on. And according to this ordinance, it says 1 bouquet per grave. My stone personally has a vase on each side. My husband lays on one side and I will be on the other. So I'm only allowed to put a flower on his side and leave the other vase empty?
No, you get.
Because there's 2 graves there. You'd be fine.
You'd be good. Thank you.
Per the ordinance, you'd be fine.
That's fine.
Again, I want to know, after a 50-year-old ordinance, why now did you decide to enact it?
That ordinance has been in use for 50 years. We are not enacting it now. The superintendent of the cemetery came to us and said, we need to do the cleanup. And it was the annual cleanup. This is the first year, in I don't know how many years, the city took on the responsibility of fully maintaining the cemetery. We have been contracting out the grass cutting and the mowing and the trimming, et cetera, et cetera. Please, I know you did. And
Put your arm down, John.
put your arm down.
I have another question.
I know, when I was, as a teacher, I would say, okay, and the students would put their hands down.
I'm not a child. George.
Okay, George, do you have anything else to say, George?
I'm trying, my whole train of thought's lost. I'm sorry, I apologize.
Okay, we'll go back. We're gonna take another couple of questions and then we'll.
So my question is, if you approve the shepherd rods, are you still gonna limit it to one thing on a shepherd rod?
That'll be something that will be discussed and when they're working on it in committee to determine what they do. They discuss what is going on in committee
Which you could
and
participate. I mean, you
And
can.
then my next question is how is the city going to reimburse us for our items that you took? That wasn't in that ordinance? All the personal items, the benches, the engraved things, the monuments, the broken angels, the flags that our military fought so hard for. How are you gonna reimburse us? Because I've let you get by with the illegal burial so far. I'm still working on that with you, Louis, but. Oh, you can smirk all you want.
No, I'm not smirking.
You
I
are,
thought
you
we
think it's
had
funny.
this-
She came in and illegally buried him out there. Illegally. None of your employees buried him. Yes. Yes, and then put some ghetto looking handmade concrete slabs crap out there on my mom's grave, and you thought that was okay. Oh, well, we made her pay to fix it, and then where you put the headstone, he ain't even buried, just so you know.
okay, well. On a committee meeting, the first meeting Monday of the month is when the committee meetings are. Ordinance is discussed the first Monday of the month, and that will be discussed at that point as far as what's going on and how are they changing it. Yes, ma'am.
Sure.
Behind the pole.
Apparently, I will never get my answer question, so I'm okay.
Okay, thank you.
I don't remember what I was.
Yes,
saying.
Mr. Trinkley.
Don't interrupt.
Yes,
Yes, Mr. Trinkley.
Okay, I have the floor for the moment.
okay.
I happen to be the chairman of the cemetery committee. I was not aware of the ordinances and all they entail. And I really apologize because that was not the intent of any of these ordinances and so on. I think that we can stay here all night, all tomorrow, all week, and we can bring up all the problems. And we need the problems, but we need to do something. Talking about it doesn't get it done. I would like to see a hard copy of these ordinances that we've had, because somebody can read them to me, and by the time they finish reading them to me, I'll forget what they said at the last one. I'd like to see hard copies, and then that's when we, the committee, and the total
council needs to make some decisions. And your input has been extremely good, because there are things would have no idea there would be problems. But obviously they are to you, and that means that they're concerned to us as well. So what I would like to see is do something about it. We've talked about it, and we've said the same thing many, many, many times. But I think we need to get together as a group, like the council, the aldermen, get a hard copy so we can look at it and eliminate some. And George is right. In fact, this was done years ago. When they went through the ordinances, they found a bunch of, I think they spent $10,000 and went through and got rid of a lot of the ordinances. This was years ago. But we need to do that right now, and particularly the cemetery, we need to emphasize that. And as I said, I accept the responsibility, because I didn't know, and I guess I should have known, but I was not aware of the ordinances and the details. And it was very saddening to find out all the kinds of things that each one of you had experienced. My wife has been buried out there for 5.5 years, and my in-laws were buried out there, and he was in the military in World War I. He was also assistant fire chief, and so I've had some, since I'm not here, I was born in St. Louis, but now I'm back here. Well, I've been back here for about 35 years, and I think that all of your comments that have been made are very valid, and I hope we can utilize all those in the modification, change of the ordinances we have right now. And I apologize personally that since I was the chairman, and I wasn't even aware of all the details of these ordinances. And I would definitely have been against many of them as a result of had I known them, my fault.
Okay, thank you. Somebody
So I have a question then, obviously. With everything that's been taken off of the gravesite. There's miscommunication between City Hall and its residents, as well as the descendants of the people who are buried out there. So the next thing that you, as all on city council, need to figure out is the next time that change needs to be made, or you need input on, is how are you going to get it to the community of Lebanon? So being that I have family out here, I don't live here, I have a business here. But there was no communication whatsoever that you were gonna take the stone statues, all the trinkets and everything off of there. We knew that the flowers were gonna be taken. We seen the sign that was out there. It was a for sale sign of this big, okay? Fine. We've never had an issue anytime, any year previous to this. So had we known that, we could have went out there and got the stuff off of the gravestones. So there's no communication between you and the citizens. So how are you going to move forward on this? Could it have been maybe a mailer? Should have been a letter. It's definitely told to each and every one of us.
Do you have a list of people who own those lots out there? Do you keep a catalog?
There's just, little index
I didn't mean to
cards that
interrupt
they
you.
used to, they just have like, say, Ron and training. And it says where the location is.
So there's
There's no addresses, no telephone
Well,
numbers,
maybe that's
nothing
something
like
we
that.
can look into, and then I need to make sure, and I will call you tomorrow. And make sure that my name is on my family's lots out there. If something is to go on, I wanna know.
And there should be names and addresses somewhere, whether it's
There is
through the funeral
That's-
homes or
That's what the problem.
somewhere. So there's something,
You have to.
but there was no communication for people who are outside of town or even here in town that don't get the old ballot paper that you put it in there. So if you have anything else, would have been nice. Probably if you would have taken your water bill, that everybody's been complaining about the trash for how long since you switched companies and that, a letter could have been sent to each person there, and at least we could have reached the people that, hey, do you know that this is gonna be taken off of the graves?
Because nobody in here probably guarantee you 90% of the people in here complaining did not know until I posted it on social media. I guarantee you that's where all these
We
people
knew
came
that-
from, was
we
because
knew
I
that-
posted the pictures and told them that if they needed their belongings gathered, they need to get out there and get them.
Correct. We knew.
And
we
mine
had
was going.
Seen out there, fresh flowers were put out there on Saturday. They were taken off on Monday.
Okay, I'm gonna go to another couple of people and then move on. I know you wanted to say something.
My comment was just about how were you going to notify us further, because my mother, who I lost when I was a child, who watched her die. The only thing I have left from her funeral is now in the dumpster that I couldn't find, that my fiance dove into. That's all I had. And it's gone. So I would love to be able to put a new angel out. I already purchased one. I'd like to know when I can put it out and when it will not get thrown in a dumpster again. Also, I was gonna bring up, put it on the water bill. That is a very simple way, and then your butt is covered. If someone misses it, that's on them. So just figure out a better way to notify us, because that was heartbreaking.
That,
And Facebook is not a notification platform, that is social media. Yes, it's helpful, but that does not reach us. We are a retirement town. A lot of people don't have Facebook, so let's find a better way to use it.
will do. Thank you. Yes, ma'am.
My question is about the historical graves that are out there. And you're telling me that there is no records of any kind out there? I mean, does it just have a name for each plot and that's it?
The really old ones. So this.
Okay, so what we have behind there that we've been trying to get into the computer are all the old scrolls that for each edition. And it's paper and it's got the edition and all the little lots on it and little names written on it. We've taken those, and since I've been here, we've gotten them into the computer. Each edition is plotted out and color coordinated according to who owns that group of graves. Like yours, you would have all the grease bombs would all be in one color, so it's really gotten.
You don't versus or any
No.
kind of inventory with
No.
numbers or anything of that nature?
No. We have little cards, we have the actual lots, like if the grease bombs had purchased 12 graves in one lot, that lot is on thing, but no, no.
And I want to be buried out there. Okay, who do I buy the plot from? City?
Me, yeah, I mean, well, the city.
Okay, you get five.
And we give you a certificate that has all the information on it, or what lots you bought and how many and all that. And then that is put into the system.
So you do have a system, but you don't have phone numbers or addresses or anything of that nature to
No.
go with the people who.
No, we have a list of everybody out that's buried out there, and I'm just halfway through doing the list of all the actual owners, just by name and what they own. So I'm hoping to get it done before I leave, but it's a lot of work.
Okay.
So I'm trying.
I just have a solution maybe.
Okay.
So to get the information out, when there's a tornado coming to Lebanon, we got the code red. If there's a water main break, water boil orders,
Right.
we got the code red.
Beverly.
Why couldn't we?
We do.
Why couldn't we? Because that would be 95%, because everybody that lives in Lebanon has a phone number attached to their water bill. And that code red goes out. This should have.
It wakes me up.
This could have, yes, absolutely. This could have been a code red situation
Well, you're right.
where you say you don't have the information. 95% of the people have a water bill. You have a phone number connected to that for code red.
Yes.
It could have been an easy solution.
And it can.
And I'm just offering an alternative.
Okay, we have done the newspaper stuff before, because I've been here 8 years and I know I've done at least 6. We've done code red and the back of the water thing. And that's when Cody and I were talking, said, let's do that. But that's where Cody and when he mentioned a miscommunication, I thought that the lady that does the blue cards was going to do that. I didn't say, you know, blah, 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 blah,
Okay,
and
Luann,
code
can I
red,
just
so,
interrupt you for just a second?
so it
When I
was
get my
asked.
water bill, I look at the front of the water bill, see how much it is, and I write you a check, put it in an envelope and bring it up to you. I don't flip the back over because usually the back says, this is the city hall's.
And the red date on it.
Well, it's the red date and it's the city hall's hours. I've lived here all my life. I've lived in my home for 40 years. I can be honest with you, I have never once in 40 years flipped over my water bill to see what kind of
But
information
we
you
have
have
put
for
it
me.
on there for people that do flip.
But I'm just saying,
We're gonna add code red.
I
Not
just
a-
thought it was a good idea.
Yeah, it is, and we are
Because
adding
you have
that.
phone
the
numbers
water-
for
we'll
all
add
of
it
us.
multiple ways.
Thank you.
Okay, one more person and then we're.
And that's all I got to say.
Huh?
Penny had her hand up.
Well, Penny's hiding behind the pole.
I just want to make a comment about the code red. We don't use those numbers off of the water. If we have a water bill that has a phone number attached to it, we can't automatically put that into code red. It's a customer given number that they choose to give participant in code red.
So they have to
So
choose.
we have sent out numerous notifications over the last several
Knock
years
yourself out.
and asked for people to join code red, and they can choose to be in for emergency notifications. They can choose to be in for weather warnings, all of those things. So if you are not a part of that, it is on the website. Go on and join that, because that does give us a way to contact you. But we can just go into your water bill and go, we're gonna put that number on to code red system because it hasn't been approved by the person whose bill it is.
Yeah.
Okay,
Just wanted to make that clear for everyone.
thank you. Yes, ma'am, you're the last one, I promise.
Okay, well, I'm gonna try not to be rude, because I'm really hurt. And I'm just gonna be really blunt and honest with how I feel about this. I'm still gonna decorate my graves and the way I always have. And if you guys take them off, I will be right back out there and decorate them again as soon as it's done. And nothing better be done to me, because I did go to the police department over this issue the first day I realized it. And was told they couldn't do anything except an informational report, which is kind of garbage because you guys stole from us. You know, it might not have been expensive items, but it was worse. It was items that were connected to our heart, and I would much rather come in and steal everything in my home than desecrate my dad and my grandfather's graves. So I'm not trying to be rude. I'm just gonna be upfront. I'm gonna do it. So
Do it.
I'm going to. And you know, if you feel the need to send somebody after me, well, we'll deal with that when it comes to it.
I'll leave my address for you.
I know, and I don't mean to be disrespectful at all, and I know you guys have a job, but you just gotta be more proactive with your job and do it. And I'm sorry.
Okay, thank you. Plan commissioner out there? Bob,
We're the planning commission.
plan
Yeah.
commission, yeah.
So is anything else getting done tonight? for
Miss
this?
Watson. I'm sorry?
Is anything else getting done tonight, voted on or anything for this tonight?
No, ma'am, not on
Okay,
the
so we can go.
cemetery ordinance, no, ma'am.
When is something gonna be posted?
Well, they'll have it on the agenda for the first Monday of April.
Now, if we take Shepherd Rods back out there tomorrow, y'all gonna rip them up? Excuse me.
No.
No,
Okay,
not
well,
at this,
that's good to know, because that's where they're going.
not, we have to get a new ordinance in place.
Okay, well, how can we retrieve our Shepherd Rods then? Because you guys took everything and put them in the shed.
Yeah, well, we didn't want people walking off with ones that.
I'm drunk.
There, so we
We had
had
a
them in
couple
the
people do
shed,
that.
and we have you can call the city hall and we'll have somebody go out there and unlock it for you.
Well, somebody's gonna have to meet me out there in the evening, because I have a job.
That's.
Come on, Jaja, let's go. Thanks for staying over there today. Come on.
You don't understand what, Ms. Motion?
I wasn't here
Bring some help.
that Monday night when they decided, you know, to do all this. But it sounds to me like an ordinance was imposed, but nobody.
The ordinance has been there since 1978. So they had the ordinance.
Right, they had it, but nobody looked over it before they decided to go out there and strip the cemetery. That's the way it sounds.
Can you handle that one, George?
Sure. We didn't know that our crew was going to strip the cemetery. We thought they were gonna take flowers and old plants and plastic that, we didn't say to them, take every little medallion off, take all those. And the reason why we didn't know it is because
You didn't read.
simply they just cleaned it up.
But they were
And,
going by ordinance that nobody read.
well, we read the ordinance later, but they read the ordinance.
Sit down.
This is not gonna be good on the owl.
We read the
The
ordinance.
owl's not happy.
Really good on the
Oh, I won't be able to, I have to make notes.
Credit your employee for doing what it said.
The ordinance was there, they said, we gotta clean up the flowers and all of that. And that's what we thought was gonna happen. I didn't think they were gonna go out there and take every little piece off of a stone or off of a plot. And until, I didn't even know what had happened until I started getting emails and phone calls.
Did you read it?
No, he said.
Okay.
I've read all the ordinances, but I went back and really studied it and realized that it was a bad ordinance.
He said it wrong.
Okay, we're gonna move on.
What was he listed? Why is he specifically listed it? And it is recorded on YouTube. If you want to go watch it, Cody told you we have not enforced it. It's gonna be hard. He lists shepherd hooks, lights, things that are out in the grass. He said that to you. So you can sit here and you can say what you want, but you're not gonna sit here and blame it on Cody and say we didn't tell him to do it.
No, that's okay, Jess. Planning Commission report, who do we have, Mike?
I'm here.
Okay, you're on.
We met, last, what? Last last Thursday, yeah, sorry. Anyway, we met last Thursday. We had a couple of things to, recommend to you. One is the changing of the name from True Value, to
True Valley Drive to
Drive
Slafer
to
Drive.
Schaefer Drive, yeah, changed it, named it after Lou Schaefer. We approved that, that was an easy one to do, wasn't a problem. The next one was an easement, and I'm not sure if you have that stuff in front of you or not, but we do have
They
some
did.
people here to speak to that tonight, I believe, do we not? Oh, there you are. I knew you were behind me.
Yeah, no, you're fine.
But anyway, there was an easement that they would like to, put in, I believe it's,
108.
yeah, it's the old, well, back in the day, it was a Chevy dealership back there.
Not that old, it was the Cedars.
Yeah, well, the Cedars property used to be anyway. They want to put an easement through there about 10 foot wide so they can access the parking on their own property. There's no other way to access the strip of ground that would become a parking lot if you don't have an easement into it, because you can't get the easement because IDOT won't approve it if it comes off of Route 50 when you make that turn and where the Cedars used to be and you want to go down the hill. You can't get an easement and access there through IDOT. They'd have to approve that.
When you have to make that alley one way going east.
Not necessarily, no. I don't think so.
You just can't make a left out of the alley onto Route 4.
Yeah.
You can make a right. That's it.
Right turn.
That's a, it's a problem. You'd have to turn with the traffic. You'd otherwise you have to go across almost 3 lanes there to turn lane.
It looks like it'd be really congested there, again, people turning in, people trying to get out at the same time, so it would be easier. I was thinking, if you made that alley one way to the east, so the people leaving this area.
It makes
Could just go out that way and
could
come
go out
out.
that way, yeah.
Well, that would be up to the council to be able to do that, but I wouldn't have a problem with that as an access.
Can I say something?
Sure.
We're talking about this parking, and we keep on referencing, two people that brought it to our attention, but there's other people that want and might purchase that property, so we're not really talking about how many that has to be in, if they put certain business in there, how many businesses on. It's, does the city want to allow
And these,
easement into that area so someone who buys it can develop a parking lot in there. And it would require, I think, 8, maybe 10 feet of the public park up there that we would have to allow, and a little apron kick out. And I sent you all that stuff.
that would
And
include one handicap spot because we
Yeah.
would lose a handicap spot.
because that entrance would have to go through where our handicap is, so they, the plan commission almost kind of, it said, we need a handicap, another one, so they were gonna make a handicap up by the road. So you're not giving permission to a certain person to have the easement. You're talking about an easement that will allow access to a private property by giving up some public property as not,
Yeah.
you're not selling it to them. You're not
No,
doing
just
any of
easement.
that, so.
There's no other parking.
Yeah, so I mean, when it came before the plan, we were talking with the people that are sitting back there that kind of asked, do you think that they would do that? And now, it really is, do you want to make that property accessible?
So it's a public access easement.
Yes.
There's no other parking for that building.
And there's no other way to access it.
It's the only way.
And it's a pretty good chunk of land that they can't do anything with except have a little garden out there or something. I don't know, but that's what the original thing went from one to the other. So you're really talking about, because when we presented it, we used a diagram that had a certain inside configuration in that building, and that's not necessarily what that is. Somebody could buy it and have one big open area in there. They still need to have some parking, and that's what the really the essence
The
of.
only way to
plan.
access the parking is
Yes.
through the easement.
I thought I'd just clear that up, so you're not really voting on who gets to buy it and all that
Yeah.
stuff.
Right.
What they do with
Could
it.
they enter from the alley from the east? Park in the parking lot and then exit on through the alley going east?
Yeah,
Cause I think that intersection up there could be a problem.
yeah.
It's a big problem right now, but I think entering from the alley, from the east, and then turning around and leaving from the east.
Sure, you can make the whole thing so it goes eastward.
Yeah, I mean, that would reduce, I think, the traffic problems that we
Sure.
potentially could have.
And
Yes, George.
When we were discussing the, we reconfigured the parking in the alley. And when we were in that discussion, one of the things that came up is we were at that time considering making it a one-way west.
Yeah.
But there are residents that use that for their driveway, and they did not necessarily want it to be one-way west. So I think as we do this easement, we might consider at the same time making that particular alley right turn only onto Route 4 at the same time.
It is now.
well, yeah,
We didn't.
that
do
could
an
all be
ordinance.
worked
It
out.
says no left-hand turn.
Right, we didn't do an ordinance on it.
And of course, this would all have to be done when you do an easement and with a contract, whoever buys the building, they'd have to do this. And it was brought to my attention when I went up there to physically look at it, that the sloping of the ground is not. If you cover that all with concrete, there's gonna have to be a watershed design, because you just can't dump all that water onto Highway
Right.
4. You're gonna have to look at it.
Yeah, IDOT will probably get involved.
Yeah, I know.
Oh, here's Cody.
Definitely IDOT will get involved.
There are a couple options for green space. We're working through that right now. Basically, that water retention can run off into what IDOT would consider green space. And that would allow them to get to that point. There are no immediate drains in the proximity. Your closest drain is blocked down by the other two big mansion houses, or all the way around the street over by Doris Farrell's house. I know some people don't know where that's in, but Those are next closest drain, and the only thing IDOT's gonna specify is that water cannot run directly onto the highway. So I have some stuff for you guys if you wanna look at it. It just simply takes water-based plants that soak up a lot of water, and it's gonna hold X amount of water for X amount of minutes. I don't see why we couldn't make it work.
Well, the question before council is whether or not you wish to allow the easement there in order to access a private area for parking.
We
That's
would-
really what it boils down to.
Right, we would need a motion and a second for both plan commissions, so we can do the first one for true. Well, no, I need.
The plan commission recommended
Yeah.
both of them.
Which means we need a motion from the council for
Either one of them.
True Value Drive to Schlafer Drive.
I'll move the change in name for True Value Drive.
Uh-oh, wait a minute.
Get your notes.
Okay, second, anybody?
I'll second it. Is that the correct spelling of his last name? It's Schleifer. I think it's gonna.
No, it's got an L in there. It'd be easier.
Schleifer is
Yeah,
how it
it'd be
is.
easier for Lou Drive.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, who's making that
You
motion?
will get the correct spelling,
George
George.
is gonna motion.
Yeah, Schleifer.
Two. Okay,
Roll call.
let's do that one. Farrell,
Yes.
Stevenson,
Yes.
Trinka,
Yes.
Washington,
Yeah.
Whitty,
Yes.
Bilky,
Yes.
Bennett,
Yes.
Cornish.
Yes.
Okay.
And then the other one would be allowing the usage of city property for an easement across the property at.
Should be
108.
It says eight.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
108.
thought I better change my glasses here. 108 East St. Louis by the way of the southeast section of the property known as the Square Park. Motion? George,
I'll move it.
But I think people have a question where something, we selling this, we giving this to them?
We're just
No,
creating
it's simply a